Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific, and this one, a playoff game in its own right. Crusaders versus Moana Pasifika. Both of these sides outside of the top 8 currently, but one of these two sides with a victory here will almost book a spot in the quarterfinal. Of course, that will be very dependent on what happens for the Fijian drawer in their game up against the Rebels. But looking through at the way that the table sits, like I mentioned, both of these sides, the perfect opportunity to move their way inside of that top 8. 18 points for Moana Pasifika. Crusaders on the 19. Whoever wins this game moves up ahead of the draw just for now. But looking through at the Crusaders starting lineup, it will be Joe Moody, Cody Taylor, and Tamaiti Williams in the front row. A very strong one for them in this contest. Shalfoon, as well as Quinton Strange in the locking duo, with Cullen Grace, Ethan Blackadder, and Christian Leo Willie, all having successful Super Rugby Pacific seasons so far, even if Blackadder has only played a few of the contests. Noah Hotham and Fergus Burke will be the young 9 and 10 combo, with Ryan Crotty and Dallas McLeod taking over the midfield, which does mean no David Havili in the starting lineup for the Crusaders, or actually off the bench either. And also no Sevu Reece in their back three, so that might be due to resting, with the Crusaders assuming they've got a decent chance of making it to the quarterfinals. Maka Springer, Che Fiaki, and Johnny McNichol will be the back three. For Moana Pasifika, it is Abraham Pole, Sam Molle, and Sakopi Kepu in the front row. Tom Savage and Alan Craig as the locking duo. They have been very strong all throughout the season and have been relied on often by this Moana Pasifika side. Jacob Norris, Sione Havili Talatui up against his old side. He is playing 7, and Lotu Anisi, one of the inform mates of the competition, slotting in that 8 jersey. Jonathan Tamatine and William Havili will be the 9-10 combo, with Savia and Taifu in the midfield to add a bit of power. Pepisana Patafilo out on one wing, Finia Nisi out on the other, and then Kieran Tumafalau at number 15. So that is the way that it sits, ladies and gentlemen, and that is how these two sides match up in terms of their lineups. We have got Howdy Folks, says Axel, welcome in. And also, come on Moana, everyone except Canterbury is with you, make us proud, says Pads Ablaze. And I think the benefit that Moana Pasifika have going into this contest is they pulled off a great win last week up against the Waratahs. It was a game that people expected them to be able to win due to the Waratahs' form, but they still managed to win in relatively comfortable fashion. In that regard, the Crusaders, they have had some very close games. And when you look through at their recent results, as you can see, they have lost 3 of their last 4 contests. The game prior to that was up against the Rebels, where they did win 39-0. But of their last 4 games, they have won 1, they have lost 3, but all of those losses have been within 7. And that is why they sit where they do at the moment. They have been pretty decent at getting bonus points for losses throughout this season, whereas when Moana Pasifika lose, boy, do they lose badly most of the time. The Hurricanes game, that was the exception. The week prior to that, up against the Chiefs, 43 points to 7, but it definitely, I guess, clocked out up against the Brumbies, I believe it was, in which they were defeated by around that 45 to 50 points. But Ryan Crotty making his way onto the field. Going to be interesting to see how he goes. He's had 156 Super Rugby matches, and he's now become, I guess, a key member of that backline for this matchup. Very close game, I think, but the Crusaders should win. Are you going to cover all Rugby 7s? Not all of it, but we are covering 3 games today of the 7s, and tomorrow I believe we will also have more of the 7s that we are covering as well, alongside URC and Super Rugby. I believe we're going to have 5 Rugby Union matches we are covering tomorrow, alongside maybe about 3 or 4 games of the 7s and the gaps. So we're going to be trying our best to cover as much as we can. Still look at my wounds from last week, says Axel. Yeah, and of course not the result that the Blues were after, and that was the result that kept the Crusaders' hopes of making the quarterfinals alive. But it's still going to be tricky. Crusaders should win with a bonus point, despite how badly they've been doing this season, says Novmum. And the crazy thing is, even if they win with a bonus point, right, it doesn't really change what has to happen in that next contest, because with them only being the 2 points behind the Fijian draw, I guess the one thing that it changes is the fact that the draw cannot draw up against the Rebels to confirm their spot. Then that regard, I believe the Crusaders would go through just because of that extra point, but we're still going right down to the wire in this competition, and the fact that there are still 11 sides that can make it to the quarterfinals in the final round Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I guess it's good for us here, but it's also bad in regards of it should definitely have been cut down a little bit by this stage, but there's still plenty to play for. I want to see Moana Pasifika go through. Says D's. Oh, so you want to see Moana Pasifika go through, and that would be in the place of the Drua, I believe. If that is the case, to be honest, Crusaders' record this year is bad. They haven't been as bad as it says on the table. CS Beds Ablaze, like I mentioned, they've had a lot of bonus points, not for winning, but for being within 7. And I feel like that's something that they can look at and be like, yes, we've lost a lot of games, and yes, we've had a couple bad ones along the way. The game up against the Western Force stands out, 37-12 or something along those lines, but they're still in this comp, and they need a big win here to try and put that pressure on the draw. But the Crusaders claiming it inside of their 22. First carry of the match going for Christian Leo Willie. Takes the contact. And Natars make it easy, $1 million for them too. Says Pads Ablaze. And Crusaders 22-14. Says acts of a kick down towards the halfway line by Noah Hotham. Loose ball. Tima Falau's actually claimed that one on the ground. Some referees would have given that as a penalty after he did drop it backwards. But it looks like it's going to be play on here for Angus Gardner. Now, Tamatene, he's knocked that one on in the breakdown as he went for the box kick. Crusaders scrum, of course, is something that's been talked about quite a bit over the last few rounds, whether it's Cody Taylor in that front row alongside Moody and Tamaiti Williams. Of course, Null. I think that the way that he is scrummaging at the moment is almost enough to put him in the ABs, and I know that that's a bold claim, but, you know, the way that they're forcing other 4-packs backwards at the moment, the Crusaders. And we have got the Crusaders 35-7 after this game, says Lasarusa. And there as well, is that like, what are we doing after this game? Because we have got the New Zealand versus Fiji game a little bit later on in the 7th. That has taken place just after midnight. We've also got Ireland versus South Africa and then Samoa versus Kenya. You like, look at their team this year and to keep most games close really shows even with them getting smashed. That's a scrum penalty straight away for the Crusaders there. And it's an interesting one here because they don't need to win this game with a bonus point. I know a bonus point looks a lot better in some regards, but they don't actually need to win this game with a bonus point. They just need to win it because that will put them into a position where they're at least contesting with the draw, but it all comes down to that draw result. But of course, they want to finish on a high. But yeah, like they've had an interesting season, the Crusaders, and I know a lot of people have enjoyed watching their downfall. But at the same time, I feel like it could have been worse, if that makes sense. They could be the Tars, you know. And now it's going to be loose, but the Crusaders have managed to clean that one up. Hi. Says Simran there. You're looking great, Hamish. Are you better, says Roof? I think so. I think we've got through the colds that we've had. I think we got sick about 3 times in a row, which was very unfortunate. But it's a 7s leg, and we have not got sick before it. So that is a massive bonus. But there's still time in the weekend, so don't want to jinx anything. Here comes Joe Moody running it forward. And Jacob Norris off to the left-hand side. Fergus Burke goes away to Christian Leo Willie. A lot of try-scoring threats in this Crusaders forward pack. One of which being Cullen Grace, who has already scored himself, I believe, 5 or 6 tries throughout this season. Now running it forward, Ethan Blackadder. Had a tremendous game last week with the amount of tackles that he was making. Now Ryan Crotty trying to show off his quick stepping feet. Shut down by Henry Taifu. Back across to Cullen Grace. Chopped down low by Sione Havili Talatui. Those two were once teammates. And now, of course, Talatui being with Moana Pasifika. Ball's there for Hotham. Looking for the penalty advantage. Referee says, no, you're not having it. Now Fergus Burke looping around the outside. Goes through the hands of Fiaki. Jumping on that one was the youngster Macca Springer. But they are just 20 metres out for the line here for the Crusaders. Burke back across to Moody. Flat ball to Blackadder. Didn't have someone there for the offload, and through the middle, Tamatine almost managed to get that turnover. Rush defence there on Shalfoon. At the moment, the Crusaders losing ground. Burke not quite getting that first pass away to the right distributor option. This is a long little phase of play as well, after 16 phases in a row. Now Joe Moody sells the dummy. The big man puts the ball in the inside to Hotham. And they're still going. Here comes the mighty Williams. Round the side. Quinton Strange dragged down 15 metres out. I will be reading the chat in a very short moment, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a lot longer of phase play than I expected. That is now going to be the drop ball, and we will get the chance to have a quick wee look. We have good there. Crusaders rebuilding itself once again. Unlucky to lose some crucial games. Says Gita. Commentary is brilliant to a guy with no TV. Says Axel. And hi says Simran. Welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. And Oa says Ivan. There, but a lot of phases back to back to back. It looks like the Crusaders are once again opting for the corner. Now, I don't think that's a bad option, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to take those points that are available. Moana Pacifica 26-14. How do you feel? How do you keep that fresh face, Hamish? Always keeping awesome, says Ruth. I don't know whether or not it's a fresh face. It's slowly getting more and more wear and tear on it as we do more of these streams late at night. Glad I'm not a Moana Pacifica or Crusader supporter. I would be very nervous, says Novmum. Now that one's going to be thrown in. Christian Leo Willie does fantastic to keep it on the side of the Crusaders as it was initially overthrown by Cody Taylor. Hotham goes back across to Christian Leo Willie. Massive run from him. Up to 7 metres out from the line. Here comes Karate with the inside run. Only 5 metres out from the line here for the Crusaders. Who's it going to be? Looping him behind. Burke slots it up to Shalfoon. He'll go in. And he's scored the try as he might have dropped it. No, he's dropped it, Shalfoon. And he's disappointed as well. The big man offside. They will go back. Tell you what, that was a massive chance for the big boy to get over. And he has unfortunately messed it up. But that is going to be a scrum now in favour of the Crusaders. Right, we're going to have to see the replay of this one. G'day, I'm new on the stream. You see total match point going over 60 points. How much money did you put on it, Leo? Or how much are you about to put on it is the better question. I can't stop looking at Hamy's eyes. They're so magical. Spencer blows. And I was like, glad I'm not. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Seems like you got a haircut. I did. I was looking a little bit scrappy. Or scruffy. So I decided to sort that out. Now I just need to sort out the beard, I think. And we'll be a little bit better off. Currently 7 minutes in. Crusaders going for the scrum again here. Okay, they've just said that the Crusaders need to win this with a bonus point to give them the best chance of going through to the quarterfinals. Although either way, it's still going to be a very tricky road. Because even if they were on drawn points with the Fijian drawer, it's going to be tricky. Here comes Leo Willie. Somehow they've stopped him. Right, they're a few metres out. And Moana Pasifika have ended up with this ball. Burt trying to fall over the line. They're about a metre out. Who's going to go in for that try? Grace is calling for it on the short side, but will they actually give him the ball? Or is it going to be to Mighty Williams? They've blown that again, the Crusaders. Now, this is brilliant work from Moana Pacifica. The problem that they've got at the moment is they keep on either knocking the ball on or giving away penalties. If they can avoid that and they can stop the Crusaders from scoring early on here, that's going to be a massive, massive confidence boost. Now, Hamish is going to ignore me. I knew it, says Ivan. I mean, I did read out your message earlier on. I think I missed one of them. I said OA though. I got the next one after that. Greens from Cape Town. Hamish says the head office. Welcome in. And who will the Highlanders play in the quarterfinal? More than likely, the Highlanders will be going head to head with the Brumbies. That seems to be about where it's sitting. Did you hear about the Rebels being axed from Super Rugby? I did. It's a little bit unfortunate for them because this is it's going to be their best ever finish. So, like, what does that do as a club though? Like, you've made it through the quarterfinals. But you've been told now you're not going to have a future at the club. So a lot of the players, like, of course they won't have this mindset, but you've got to have the slight thinking of what's the point. If you're not even going to have a chance, they'll tell you what, Leo Willie's got to go close, yeah. But again, they've managed to stop him just short of the try line. Crotty, Burke, interception thrown, and now it's stolen by Moana Pasifika. They have done extremely well throughout the early stages of this contest not to concede a try when they're just out from their goal line. In fact, some of the best goal line defence I believe we have seen from Moana Pacifica throughout the season, and now they've won themselves the penalty. Play with pride, last time to go out with everything you got, says Pads of Lays. Yeah, it's more of like, it's going to be a trial in some regards because, of course, all of those players now have to find new teams. Like, you're in that scenario how this is pretty much like the run that everyone will be looking at as, okay, this is the Rebels' final game, or this one, depending on how far they get. And it's just pretty much going to come down to who's going to sign all of these Rebels players, because they've got a lot. They've got Teniela Tupou, recently made the change from the Reds. They've got Filippo Dalgunu, another player, come from the Reds. They've got the youngster Carter Gordon. Does that intrigue him to now go into league? Because there were rumours of it happening, and maybe if he hasn't got a future with the Rebels, I'm sure there is a Melbourne-based team that might be eyeing him up. Who's commentating? Says Mr. Bravestone. Trying to recognise the voice. I know that it's not Nisbet and it's not Tony Johnson in the box. Yo, Hamish, you demand Sky is overrated, says Shane. Welcome in, mate. If you are keeping well, go Pacific Ocean. Get some points on the board. It's going to be kicked out by Moana Pasifika. I didn't hear about Australia, and Australia is still alive. Are they still playing rugby? They are indeed. Like, the Rebels have always been a side that's been in a bit of trouble, though. Like, this is the first time they've ever made a quarterfinal in their long Super Rugby career. Kicked him behind from Johnny McNichol. They'll go back for the original penalty. I put a tenner on a draw with a question mark. Is that a question of did you? Like, do you not know your own account? So you're asking me if you've put a tenner on a draw? I mean, it could be close. At the end of the day, the Crusaders have turned down multiple three-pointers here. Okay, they're actually going to check a knock on someone's head here. Sounds like Loto and Nisi is the one who took the shot. Put $1 million or being a draw or a win. There's Bads Ablaze. That's a bit brave, isn't it? Crusaders need to win, but I hope results go their way, says Patrick. Well, that's the thing. Moana Pacifica also need to win. A lot of people are just talking about the fact that the Crusaders can make the quarters. If Moana Pacifica win this game, they are in a position where they're the same as the Crusaders. If the Fijian draw lose, they will make their way through. Oh, yeah, that's a big shot from Joe Moody. Right, it's a swinging arm from Joe Moody. This is going to be at least a yellow card here. A little bit too upright there. And it's an unfortunate one because he was being tackled at the time, but it is still a yellow in the current laws. And like they've just said, final home game for Joe Moody. Now he has to sit on the sideline and wait for his opportunity to make his way back out onto the field. 50 cents on the win for Pacifica. Not good, says Bads Ablaze. But yeah, the Crusaders, like, they've had 11 minutes pretty much of all-out attack inside of Moana Pacifica's 22. They've turned down, I would say, 4 3-pointers or so, maybe 3 3-pointers at this point. Yet the score is still 0-0. I have something in my eye, unfortunately, which is quite brutal. Hamish, I was more concerned about your skincare routine. Tell everybody what's the remedy that keeping it moisturising. Says stay hunky. Yeah, I can't really give you much information on that because there isn't really a routine to go off. 11 minutes in at the moment. And Moana Pacifica about to throw this ball, and they are not out of this game, ladies and gentlemen. They are, in fact, right in it. It's going to be thrown in, slapped away. Leo Willie does well again. Grace inside of the 22. Tackled well. Kwekemi needs to go to hospital, says Bads Ablaze. Nah, she'll be right. Now back into the pocket. Noah Hotham waiting for Burke. No, in fact, he goes across. Short to Ryan Crotty. And it's a penalty to Moana Pacifica. What have they done there? Number 5, Quinton Strange, holding a player on the ground. He was, of course, the man responsible for costing them their game up against, I believe it was the Reds, if I am correct. Or it might have actually been up against the Brumbies, my apologies. But yeah, he is holding his leg there. Quinton Strange. It's a dirty tactic. And obviously he didn't communicate with Noah Hotham because unfortunately it just ended up as the penalty wiped the out of your eyes. Well, that was the goal, wasn't it? And now Havili does now put that ball over, and now Moana Pasifika, after 12 minutes in this contest, they are leading 3-0. Who's winning, says Josh? Moana Pasifika winning 3-0. And Moana up for this game so far. Who was dirty? Quinton Strange. He was hanging on to William Havili's leg. And go the Crusaders, says Stuart Moore. And this looks like Shalfoon is actually done for the day. Looks like some sort of leg injury. Upset tonight, be a close one. Could come down to penalty goal. Moana hold on for the win. CSH. The Crusaders retaining their own kickoff there. Moana rushing up very quickly, almost offside. Johnny McNichol looking for the next pass. Goes over the top to Macca Springer. Hasn't had a huge amount of minutes throughout this competition. Is normally out on one of those wings. They at least have Sevu Reese. This game, big opportunity for the youngster. Here comes to Mighty Williams. Oh, I think he's asking for a penalty there. Says he was caught on the chin. This determines the quarters for these two, says John. Oh, sorry, says Josh, I should say. Yeah, pretty much whoever wins this has a chance of making the quarters. Whoever loses, their season is over. But it all comes down to that Fijian draw versus Rebels game. That is taking place at 2:05 tomorrow. And that will let us know exactly whether or not there is a chance of a different top 8, because, of course, the Western Force can also make their way through to the quarters depending on that draw versus Rebels result. Get that momentum going early here, Crusaders. There's Roof, but it's a good kick from Jonathan Tamatine. We'll be about 40 metres out from the line now. Crusaders. Their line-out's been relatively strong. That is mainly when they have gone to Christian Leo Willie. Cody Taylor now. I think he's saying that there's not enough of a gap there. Alan Craig and Tom Savage, two men. They've done very well for Moana Pasifika. They find Cullen Grace that time with that ball, Crusaders. Now Ryan Crotty. Come back into the pocket to Burke. Flat ball to Christian Leo Willie. Looping around the back. But again, he is smashed. Now Hotham. Cross again. Blackadder with a wide ball out to Che Fiaki. Tries the chip. Being taken down now. Running sideways. Pipisana Patafilo. They were looking for the turnover. It looks like Jonathan Tamatine at the moment has got this ball, but they are under a lot of pressure now. Finian Nisi hits it up. I've gone with the Moana Pasifika handicap at 27.5 points. Total match points over 60.5. Okay, so they have to be within 27.5, is that, Leo? And take your shots, says H, and I reckon it will be under 60, says Gomos. Yeah, it just depends on how well the Crusaders get rolling here, because I think Moana Pasifika, I believe they'll score maybe 1 or 2 tries in this game, more than likely 2, but I just worry that if the Crusaders get rolling and they start finding momentum, then that is probably when we're going to see them get quick fire points. Nicely claimed by Dom Gardner, made his way onto the field for Shalfoon's injury. Now Dallas McLeod, not able to get that next pass away. Here comes Cullen Grace, flat ball to Dom Gardner. Hotham milks the penalty again there. He's obviously been learning from Mitch Drummond of how to be an annoying halfback. Across to the left-hand side. And behind Quinton Strange, quick hands. Karate flicks it out the back door. It was forward though. So they will go back for another penalty. In this case, do the Crusaders take the 3? It is straight out in front of the posts. Do they want it now or do they keep on attacking? I think Quinton Strange might be the captain for this game, and it looks like once again he is set to go for the corner. Savage and Strange, very English surnames. A Pacifica come to play here. Says Aroof. Great kick for the corner there. Going to be about 5 or 6 metres out. Moody is still off the field for another 4 minutes, but I believe we're about to find out whether it's going to be upgraded. If it is, he will be off the field for another 14 minutes, and then they will have to make a replacement. Okay, they have just said that the yellow card is going to remain as a yellow card. I've just said clear drop in height. See, I would almost argue that was worse than Tupu Tupu's red card last week. But it's going to remain as the yellow card. Here comes Cody Taylor with the rolling maul. He doesn't have it. Who does, though? Someone's stuck underneath. It looks like Blackadder, who's going to pop up with the ball in hand. And the Crusaders have scored their first try of the contest. They have been persisting with going for tries rather than threes, and it has finally paid off for them. Which stadium is that on the background? Christchurch? It is indeed, seeing as they are playing in Christchurch. And rolling it up there, field boys, use it or lose it. And Hamish is still impressed with Antoine Dupont and that tough game, Captain Fantastic. Quentin Strange is related to some children who went to the same kindy and primary as my boys. There's Nov Mum. But Ethan Blackadder, I think that's almost 2 tries in 2 games that he has returned for. It's Ruth, says Axel, and Hamish's commentary on fire. There's Ruth there as well. But the Crusaders now taking the lead. Of course, every extra point is absolutely crucial. Burke in charge of kicking responsibilities in this game. 18.5 minutes in. They have still got another 2.5 minutes remaining of that Joe Moody yellow card. Burke has got that one over, making the score 7 points to 3 in favour of the Crusaders. Yeah, I think Cody Taylor was quite keen for that ball to pop out the back of the rolling maul, but Blackadder was not giving it up. He was like, nah, this one's mine. You can push me over the try line. Looks like Crotty's got a little bit of a cut on one of his eyebrows here. Wasn't serious enough to get him in the blood bin as of yet, but I'm sure if there's a little bit more physicality, best try of the season. But that one, is it the first try that you've seen of the season, Stuart Moore? Out of curiosity, because I feel like you could probably name 100 tries better than that one. Now Fergus Burke puts this ball up high. And well taken by William Havili. Tackled a little bit high by Johnny McNichol. Got him around the chest. Do you think Moana will play for the Crusaders again if he is eligible to play for the All Blacks? It depends, doesn't it? Because we're not in a World Cup year. So yes, Moana, if he plays for the All Blacks, like that's all well and good. But I do see him still having 1 or 2 more seasons overseas. If that's where the money is, and that's where, you know, he's able to have the most success, then I could see him staying overseas until maybe 2026, where he might return for the Crusaders. Although they're going to have a bit of a gap at 10, so perhaps he does make his way back. Although at the moment, the way that they sit, I don't think he'll be in too much of a hurry. Penalty goes the way of the Crusaders on the halfway line. Come on, Crusaders, start their push. Let's go, boys. Blackadder, Suburb legend for the New Zealand. Here's Ruth. I think that's Abraham Pule who has been penalised for that one. He's disappointed about it as well. Oh no, in fact it's Sam Molly rather than Abraham Pule. Oh, Fergus Burke almost kicking that one straight sideways for the touchline. We're going to move on with life already. I don't want to come back to New Zealand anymore. I was only joking, says Stuart. I assumed that you were. Because, yeah, it's a stock standard rolling maul try in it. But to be fair, we haven't seen actually as many rolling maul tries this year from the Crusaders as a lot of people anticipated. Because they've got such a strong set piece normally. I was joking, Hamish. Says Stuart Moore now going off to the left-hand side. Cullen Gray sells the dummy, almost burst and through another gap. Now Hotham goes to the short side. You know, he's been watching Mitch Drummond for too long, Noah Hotham. Doing a lot of that same, you know, try and pass it into the man who's offside or put your foot on a guy when he's on the ground and act like you're tripped. Right, Crusaders back to 15 as well here. I should have mentioned Crusaders score. Says H and Axel, welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games, sweet child of mine. Says Ruth in there as well. And go the drawer. Says Bill, of course, if the draw win their game, that shuts down any hopes of any side making their way through. What's the penalty count so far? I believe that is the 4th one against Moana Pasifika, and I think the Crusaders have given away 2. Or maybe 3 at the moment. Now rolling maul here for the Crusaders. Cody Taylor hanging on to this one at the back, and this is a very strong rolling maul. At the moment, he's over the line, and Taylor scores the second here for the Crusaders. And Moody should have been sent off. There was no drop in body height when you consider what Tupu Tupu was dismissed for. By comparison, it's ridiculous. Says the DJ Shack. I mean, I did mention it at the time that I thought that it was actually worse than Tupu Tupu's. I think that the only difference they're trying to say is the fact that Tupu Tupu's one, like there was less of a directional change or like a less of a drop from the player than the tackle attempted there. But yeah, it was still a swinging arm high. I can't make these stupid errors. Crusaders keep concentration. Says Roof. Go home, Hyper. Says Ivan. And also, Blackcat are playing well at 7. He is. The question is, has he done enough in only his few games for the Crusaders to convince Scott Robinson to put him in? If Blackcat is fit and continues to remain fit, do you think he will be in the number 6 for New Zealand? Raise invest some time in Simon Penny? I think at the moment, like someone who's slightly underrated in some regard for that 6 jerseys, possibly Cullen Grace. The fact that he was playing 8 at the start of the season and he's transitioned to 6 and he has done so well, I could see maybe 2 out of the 3 of the All Blacks loose forward trio being Crusaders if that is what Robinson wants to do. Of course, he'll try not to make it so that he's too biased towards his side, but at the same time, he will know the ability of certain players and he'll know what they can do. So it will be very intriguing to see who he actually goes with. And Cullen Grace is a very good choice. Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing. He's had AB's caps before a little while ago, but at the moment, the 2 6s for me. But that's the thing. At the same time, like, does Shannon Frizzell even remotely get in, like, a chance at the moment? Or is he still overseas for long enough that he can't be eligible? I'm not actually too sure. Well, we know Scott, his knowledge about talent, says Josh. And I did see that you asked who scored the first try. It was actually Cullen Grace, who's winning at the moment 14 points to 3 in favour of the Crusaders. Awkward bouncing ball for William Havili. And also over there, Tupu Tupu bent to the hips. Moody did not at all. He had him flush. It's nothing against the ref, Bunkies officials, or the players in question. It just baffles me the inconsistency and the foul play decisions. Scoreboard is up there, Bill Gates. Says, what's there from Ivan? But this is going to be the penalty now going the way of Moana Pasifika. Okay, there we go. There's the penalty count. It's actually 7 against Moana Pacifica compared to the 3 of the Crusaders. Apologies, Hamish. I've been MIA. I've been watching the rugby with my son. Instead of being on the lives, watching with my son allows us to look at ways we can improve his fame. Says Marco, there's no worries at all. And hopefully he's been learning a lot in the off-season. Is it the off-season? No, it's actually the season at the moment. We're in winter, aren't we, almost? But yeah, hopefully he's been going all right. This guy's great at commentary. It's like I'm actually there, says Josh. Well, thank you very much, Josh. Now Sam Molly, line out throw here, 15 metres out from the line for Moana Pacifica, well claimed by Norris. Sends it away to the left-hand side, little pop pass up from Tamatine. One of the big forwards, I believe it was Alan Craig this time, heading the ball up. Here comes Lotu Anisi. Trying to stop him. Oh, Strange might have done a hammy here. The way that he is holding his leg does not look too flash. It's going to be kicked in behind. Awkward bouncing ball. It's cleaned up by Hotham. I believe it's almost going to be a 5-metre scrum. No, in fact, it's a goal line dropout. If Moong is back, then I'm sure Frizzell can be brought back as well. Both will be less than 35 for the next World Cup cycle. And sweet thanks, says H. And it looks like Quinton Strange has got a bit of discomfort here. Is it taken back by Hotham? It was quite close. I know they're still going to play the in goal. See, that for me is taken back by Hotham. Because he's jumped, I believe, from in the field of play backwards with the intent of putting the ball down. Like, it would be a little bit different if he had just claimed it and then placed it, right? But the way that looked, it did seem like he was purposely going into the in-goal area. That's taken back, says Freshman. I agree, but it looks like they're actually going to go with the goal line dropout. Now, sweet thanks, and hi, Roof. Hope all as well, sis. I missed this place, says Marco. And carried back, the kick was touched, I think, says Annoying there. And Kiwi Lads rocking the house, always best commentary. See, Hamish, you're magnificent, says Ruth. Moana now need to score next. Did you hear about the Rebels? I certainly did. Not what they wanted for the end of the season. Definitely not in their best ever season. Did Quinton Strange do his groin? It looked like, well, I thought it was hamstring, but it might be groin because it looks like he's grabbing at his testicles. I don't know how else to say it, really. He's grabbing at the middle section. He's grabbing at the goodies. You know, he might have just taken a really hard knock on the balls, to be honest. The way that he's walking, that looks like a groin strike. You know? It looks like he's going to be all right. Avoid legacy team Crusaders in finals footy. At all costs, let's go Fiji. Hurricanes, my dream team history. Don't favour us, though. Just call it upper thigh. I guess so. Crown jewels. Says November. Currently, they are 22 metres out from the line here, Moana Pacifica. I believe they should have been 5 metres out with that scrum feed, but it is going to be play on. Taiafu goes in behind to Pepisana Patafilo. Tackled low by Crotty. Looks like more than just an itch. Says Defunk. Yeah, I'd say so. It looked like he was kind of waddling, which is never fun. Now Tamatine looking for the kick in behind. It's going to be the penalty again. It looks like he's grabbed his crotch like he got whacked, says DJ. So I would say, if I was a betting man, I'd say that he probably got his upper thigh, as Josh is informing, upper thigh stomped on. It's not their best season, to be honest, but in terms of placing, yes, Rebels had their best season, says Pads of Blaze. And they should just change that Moana Pacifica to Moana Polynesia. I think Moana Pacifica rolls off the tongue a little bit better. Who do you think will be the next All Blacks captain? My suggestion, Scott, the Crusaders captain, says Jermaine. He has been mentioned. Xavier, of course, has been talked about as well as a potential option if he is eligible, of course. And up Pacifica says JSP. Getting ready to throw this one in here. Sam Molly. And Hodgman is eligible to play for the Wallabies. Will he start for Schmidt? I don't know, to be honest. I feel like, oh, that's a beautiful run from Nisi. Has he got it down? He might have. Had to try and spin through 2 Crusaders players. I believe it was Hotham as well as Quinton Strange was the one who was underneath. But Nisi believes that he scored this. He didn't have a 12-inch, but smelt like a foot long, says Axel. Right, they're thinking it might have been knocked on here by Nisi. But if he has got a grounding, that is a perfect time to score for Moana Pacifica. Still time remaining in the half as well for them to be able to get themselves their next try. Right, this looks good. Or does it? Ooh. It's going to be a try for Nisi. He's done enough there. And yep, they're overruling the on-field decision, and that is going to be a try, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, I went for opposition to corrupt this corrupt government. The Western Cape stays DA, and the Nisi brothers actually combined there. Lotu through the pass to Finney. And who scored the first 2 tries? Cody Taylor was the second try, and Ethan Blackadder was the first. And Scooter has issues staying on the field. He's carded often, probably most carded AB in the last 3 years. Probably close to it, alongside, unfortunately, it probably would be close to Sam Kane as well, or who else is someone in the ABs that just can't stay on the field? Frizzell at one point was getting quite a few, wasn't he? Who else we had to have got quite a... Tuanga Fussy, he went through a patch where he was getting a few yellow cards as well. And Pacifica is better than that club. Only Polly Reps play on that team, Hamish. Please change the name, so embarrassing. Says Stay Hunky. Only Polly Reps. Have you heard of Tom Savage and Alan Craig by any chance, Ivan? Because fun fact, at least one of those two have an English accent because he's from England. So your theory is wrong. Where the heck is Scott Barrett? Is going to be all good to play versus England. ABs are looking weak at lock, to be honest, says Marco. I believe he should be back by then. Cody Taylor, All Blacks captain, says Stuart Moore. And a little odd, that's where you've gone wrong, Ruth. And Madrid Sevens tonight or tomorrow. So tonight, they are starting at around 10 p.m. But the first live stream that we have got is at 12:10 a.m. New Zealand time later on tonight. Good evening, Kiwi Lad, says Blues Nate. Welcome in, mate. Hope also keeping well, of course. And let's go Moana, says Britt. But currently the score in this game, 14 points to 10 after the try from Finney and Isi. 30 minutes in. Cameron looking for that next gap in Moana Pacifica's defense. That's been relatively strong at the early stages of this match. Yeah, I could see that, Stuart. Says Defunk. Now out wide, it's gone over the top, but another penalty. Moana Polynesia looks weird. Says JSB, how much for the to the bonus point? So Crusaders would have to win this game by 3. Oh, it's a yellow card for Moana Pacifica. So 3 tries, that is, right? So they would need another 2 tries, then that would put them in a position for a bonus point. It is not like some other competitions around the world. Brian Yossi and Peter Lakai make the All Blacks this year. What do you reckon? I think at least one of them has to. And I would probably say Peter Lakai at the moment is the one out of the 2 who I think has the better chance. But I would still put Brian Yossi in there as well. In fact, early next week, I believe we are going to be doing a video based off who we would like to see in the All Blacks, or maybe who Razor will put in the All Blacks. It's a hard one to choose because either way, I'm probably going to get the wrong selection. If Gaines win tomorrow, are they going to the quarters? They're already in the quarters, but they would possibly be finishing first. And no more yellow cards. Says a Blues, Nate. Now driving close to the line again here for the Crusaders. They are over. Is it Cody Taylor again? Yes, it is. Cody Taylor scores himself the second try of his game, and they are now 19 points to 10 up. I feel like that yellow card could be quite costly for Moana Pacifica here. Like they've just said, 3 more tries for the Crusaders. It might not look like the most spectacular way of scoring tries, but they threw everything at Moana Pacifica for the first 10 minutes, and they just couldn't get over. What's your prediction for this game? It's a tricky one to say now because the Crusaders are currently ahead by 9. So if I said the Crusaders by like a comfortable margin, then people would be like, you're lying. But I could see Moana Pacifica keeping this game kind of close. Maybe like Crusaders by 12 or so, maybe a little bit more. What was the cause for the yellow card, if I may ask? It was a deliberate knockdown from Anisi. You're right, Matters Roof. Just saying. Says Ivan there. Scott might not be back, so that's the next choice. Because how long Scott Barrett got with his injury? I know that he came back and then I think he re-injured that same injury. But I'm not too sure how long he's going to be out now. Crusaders by 30, but Moana to give us a big battle. And thank you, Kiwi Lad, says Josh. And what you're watching the game on? I am watching on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. Cody Taylor now only 8 tries behind Caleb Ralph. And still another 14 tries behind Severis for the overall Crusaders all-time try scorers. Salute, sir. This alternate commentary voice. Says Saline. When will Will Jordan be back? I believe the November internationals is when we're going to see Will Jordan. I don't think he's there for the Rugby Championship. But, yeah, he should be there for November internationals, I think. I could be wrong, though, because, of course, time frames often change in the world of rugby. Definitely if it's a little bit of an awkward injury. I messaged Cam Roygard on Messenger. Sent me a video wishing my son a happy birthday and wishing his under-11s rugby team well for their season. For some birthday tomorrow, and I can't wait to show him. Says Marco, that is very awesome. Cam Roygard. Hopefully, is he your son's favourite player, or is he just a favourite of his, one of his favourites, perhaps? We have free Sky in New Zealand now, finally. Do we? Is that like on Freeview, maybe? And did it see Lee Halfpenny play this season? He only played a couple games, I think. Maybe if he was lucky, and both of them he really looked ordinary, so you haven't lost much by not seeing him. Wide cut out pass, nicely claimed by Pipisana Patafilo as the Crusaders were on attack again. And let's go the Crusaders, says Mitchie. If Gaines win, they are going to the quarterfinals. They are not, no. Or are they? Not necessarily. The possibility is there, but the other side of things is if the Fijian draw win their game, they are then going to be out. Be interested to see if Raz is biased when it comes to the All Blacks team naming. Surely we won't have another Cantor Blacks team like we did in the early 2000s. Says Britt. Well, it's always a tricky one, isn't it, as a selector and as a coach? Because, if he selects a lot of Crusaders, he gets called biased. If he doesn't select a lot of Crusaders, then people go, oh, where's his loyalty? So it makes it tricky for a coach to be able to select a good balance. Like, I still think we're going to see maybe 4 or 5 Crusaders, if not a couple more, into this All Blacks team. Hotham with a good run forward, moving up to 22 metres out. Now, back across. He's one of his favourite players. The others are Will Jordan, Mark Tilley, and Artie. I knew Roygaard would reply and do it because he's injured. It's like, what else are you going to do, cuz? Cody Taylor now 15 metres out from the line. Going to the right-hand side to Mighty Williams. His legs tied up. Doesn't the Autumn Nations series start earlier than November? Says the Black Samoan. I think just end of October we get to see a couple early games taking place. That is going to be another advantage. The discipline at the moment letting them down. Here comes Cullen Grace. Flick on the inside to Shea Fiaki. I think Blackadder wanted the ball again. You can't just pick the best players. You need to pick the right team. That is true, and that is a great try for Ryan Crotty of all players out there on the wing. And hopefully you don't have a team like that last, coach. And we have also got there Stuart Crusaders alive, says Jermaine. And Highlanders lose to the draw. That's it, Sadis. Says Blues Nate. 5 minutes remaining of Moana Pacifica's yellow card, and we have already seen 2 tries scored by the Crusaders throughout that period. Once again, opting to go for that rolling maul briefly. Damn, says Axel, imagine if the Crusaders won the comp again, bro. I'd rage again like I have the past decade. Yeah, I mentioned it. I was actually talking to my mum about it, and I pretty much said if the Crusaders win this year, if they make it into the top 8, if they then end up, because we've got to remember they would be versing the favourite. So if they then go on to knock out the favourite of the competition, whoever's number 1 that is, and then from there go on to win it, I feel like it kind of kills Super Rugby, unfortunately. Moana are so bad, are they getting paid? They are getting paid, yes. And it's already been a much improved season for Moana Pacifica compared to what we saw last year. We've got to remember this is a side that weren't really able to get too much going last season, and already we're seeing drastic improvements. Loto Anisi is definitely in the top 5 for number 8s throughout this season, so certain players have been stepping up a lot better than others. That is a rough kick from Fergus Burke, but that will keep the score at 26 points to 10. We have there to the Crusaders to have a chance of going to the quarterfinals. If they win this game and the Fijian draw lose to the Rebels, then yes. If they win this game and then the draw win, then no. That would mean that the Crusaders more than likely would finish 9th on the overall standings. And how does the Crusaders win and kill Super Rugby? Because the concept of a side at the moment, right? It's not so much like, of course, this Crusader side, are they capable of winning? Absolutely. But for a side to win 4 regular season games and go on and win the competition, for one, a lot of people feel that it should only be top 6 at most, top 4 maybe, going semi-finals. But yeah, for a side to only win 4 games throughout the regular season to then be in the quarterfinals and go on to win it, it kind of, like, in the nicest way possible, makes a little bit of a mockery of the layout of the competition. You know, you look at a comp like the URC at the moment and you see that the top 8 sides are all split by hardly any points, and everyone who's making their way through to the next stage has at least got a decent win-to-loss ratio. Like, just very briefly, let's see if we've got it. That's Super Rugby. We've got a URC one somewhere. I'm just looking through at my past things. That's still Super Rugby. That's Super Rugby. We've got a URC table. I'm sure there'll be one somewhere. Might be this one. Now, Johnny McNichol almost ended up with that ball, but Pipi Sana Patafilo looking for the touchline. Is this the... Nope, that's still Super Rugby. But yeah, in terms of the top 8 for... Like, there's 11 sides at the moment that can make it through to the URC, and all of them have close to win-loss ratios in their favour. It would be a rip-off if this Sanders says JSP. Well done, Crusaders. Killed it for New Zealand on you, lads. Says Blues, Nate. But yeah, once again, that is not a dig at the Crusaders in terms of their ability to win the comp. Because they are a capable side. We've seen them beat the top of the table Blues. It'd be a rip-off if the Crusaders won the comp. Says JSP. Now nicely taken. And we'll be interested to see what they do next year, because we've got to remember, without the Rebels, there's either a gap that's left open or you've got a bye week thrown in there as well, which might make it at most top 6 who go through. Thanks, dude. Says Yasuba. That is going to be kicked in a touch by the sounds of it. And it is now half-time. We do gain traction in the back half of the season. So Babi Asafo Moore is back in action. Razor will be licking his lips. Crusaders are the best, says Caden. And also, it's really stupid if the Crusaders, of the Crusaders play this way. There is one less back. They are playing it with the forwards. Says Short, although it's worked out. They've scored 2 tries. Moana need to remove the Pacifica name from its name, says Stay Hunky. How come? I feel like you're just like nitpicking for the sake of trying to adjust something that doesn't need adjusted. Stay hunky. And top 4 for sure, says the Rugby Guru. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. But yeah, like absolute maximum, right? And I mean absolute maximum. You could do a top 6. If they still have to have the argument of... Because I know that the Australian sides want the top 8. And the reason for that is because if it was top 4... there's a chance that no Australian side would be in there. So, like, top 6 is a happy medium if you really had to have those extra spots. And then that way you have number 1 and 2 have a bye week when the next 4 sides play each other. Then the 2 winners of those games face the 2 first and second seed. And then you get the final. But, or you just go semi-finals. That's just easier. Have 4 sides from the get-go. And what about Geordie Barrett as AB's captain, doing well with the Hurricanes, beating the Chiefs at their home ground? Says Joe Webby. Yeah, he might not be a bad option, Geordie Barrett. Overall, I think if you're looking at a Hurricanes player, though, Savia would probably just get the nod ahead of Barrett there. But halftime in this contest, ladies and gentlemen, 26 points to 10 in favour of the Crusaders. Moana need to score first in the second half. They certainly do. If they aren't able to get themselves the early try, I feel like that is where the Crusaders will just run away with this contest. Looking through at the reserves that the Crusaders have got available, they've got George Bauer, who has been in some terrific form so far. George Bauer and Owen Franks, the veteran, and number 18. Now, we did see Dom Gardner take on that 19 jersey rather than Jamie Hanna. I'm not too sure what happened there, but he's already out on the field due to the injury of Shalfoon. Tom Christie at 20, Mitch Drummond, Robinson, and also Murray going to be there at 23 for Moana Pasifika. Few slightly newer names off the bench. Maka there, Fipu Liao, or Fipu Liai as the number 17, and Asamoah at 19, Tualangi at 19, with Alamana Matunga as the 20, Halo, Christian Liliofano, and Nigel Wong as the back replacements. There's a few tongue twisters off that bench today. It'll be a fairy tale if the Crusaders did win the competition, says JSP. Halftime, perfect timing for my smoked rabbit, says Axel. Isn't this Owen's last season? I believe so, and I think it's also going to be Joe Moody's last season for the Crusaders, if I am correct. I don't think the Fijian draw will lose against the Rebels, says the Black Samoan. Well, let's put it this way. They shouldn't, but you just never know. Like, Fijian draw's home record is impressive, although they have had close games before. One in particular that I can think of is their Golden Point contest from earlier on in the season. Who do you think is going to win? In this game, I believe that the Crusaders, they've built enough momentum and they have got enough of a lead, I believe, that Moana Pacifica won't be able to catch them. It's just more of the case of, will they get that bonus point that they are chasing? Currently, they have got it in play. They should let Argentina clubs join Super Rugby. Well, they've got a gap now. With the Rebels no longer being a thing, like, it's going to be an intriguing one. It's boring top 6. No, it's exiting to watch from... existing to watch from quarter. It's boring top 6. No, it's... So you're saying a top 6 is boring, I assume, in that regard. Although top 6, you still are losing 2 teams, of course, going into the semis. And we have got their rugby challenge for man, or rugby challenge for man said, yeah. And what the stars for. What the stars for. What? And get the Samoan team is Moana. Says, stay hunky. And I was good morning / evening. Says, Fletch, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. I can read that one nice and easy. So we're good in that regard. Yeah, second half just around the corner. If there's one thing to really criticise the Moana Pasifika side for throughout that first half, it was definitely their discipline. Unfortunately, giving away way too many penalties. What about Tamaiti Williams as All Blacks captain? First, he's got to get in the All Blacks. Of course, he hasn't had too many games this season due to injury, so we've got to wait and see whether or not he actually gets that opportunity in the AB's jersey first. Now, Moana Pacifica have only had 39 metres gained throughout this contest, yet they have scored themselves the one try. That was the try of Finianesi. Metres gained 179 for the Crusaders throughout that first half, also beating 10 defenders and having 4 clean breaks along the way. Tackling stats, 105 made by Moana Pasifika, only 34 having to be made by the Crusaders. But I think it's the penalty count that is really hurting Moana Pasifika at the moment, giving away 8 penalties throughout that first half compared to the 5 of the Crusaders. Hamish is the man, awesome true blue, Kiwi lad, says a Marco there. Better than KFC, says Axel, for eating a bunny rabbit. I can safely say I've never tried a rabbit, not that I know of anyway. And if both teams score 4 tries, but the winner wins by a point, does neither get a bonus. So if both teams score 4 tries, but winner wins by a point, does neither get a bonus. So the winner would get 4 points, the loser would get 1 for being within 7. But in this competition, it doesn't matter whether you score 4 tries or 50 tries. If your opposition are within 3, you don't get that bonus point. So it can be pretty brutal, you know. You could see a game with 8 tries scored by one team, 6 tries scored by the other, and the side that scores 8 tries, because they've conceded 6, wouldn't actually get that extra bonus point because of the way that it is kind of laid out in the competition. But so far, we've seen 86 carries as well from the Crusaders. Do we feel B team to avoid Crusaders and be fresh for the quarters? Says Shane in there as well. Are you talking about the Blues or the Hurricanes there? Because I feel like it's an interesting one the way that it sits currently, because we've of course got 2 New Zealand derbies, and I believe those 2 New Zealand derbies will determine the top 4. And the other side of things is we can still see the Brumbies theoretically finish first on the overall table. If the Blues lose their game up against the Chiefs and the Hurricanes are upset by the Highlanders, and then the Brumbies beat the Force, the Brumbies could have home games all the way to the final, which I know for a fact would be the last thing that New Zealand sides would be wanting in this competition. But at the moment, of course, we have got a top 7 confirmed. The Rebels, Highlanders, Reds, Chiefs, Brumbies, Hurricanes, Blues, and those last 4 sides that I mentioned, all having themselves the home quarterfinal. But that number 8 spot, there are still 4 sides that can take that spot. The draw are, of course, the favourites to do so. And then the Crusaders currently working very hard to try and get themselves that bit more of a boost. Now, the other side of things as well is, if the Force manage to win their game and they end up on the same points as the Crusaders, I believe the first tiebreaker is games 1 before points differential. So that would mean that the Force would actually have the better chance, which is why the Crusaders in this case are chasing that bonus point so hard, as they feel like they've got a better chance of getting a bonus here than the Force do up against the Brumbies away from home. We have got there, KFC is life, says Marco, and it makes sense because it creates bigger gaps in the points table based on skills, and scrap Super Rugby and add the top 4 All Black sides and the Reds and the Brumbies along with the draw and Pacifica to a World League tournament, with the URC drop 3 Welsh, 1 Irish and 1 South African. I mean, it's an interesting concept, which of course I think that Club World Cup is going to help us a little bit in terms of knowing what is actually like the go with the world kind of league that they are rumouring, but I don't know whether or not it's going to come to fruition. At the moment, it just sounds like something we'll be able to make on, I don't know, Rugby 25, I guess, is the best one. Hopefully it does come out. Round 25, of course. Do we feel B team? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? It's too late for the Crusaders now, no disrespect. Says the Black Samoan, yeah, they will come to regret, I believe, one of their last 4 games. And the reason I say that is every one of their games of the last 4 have been split by less than 7, or 7 or less. This game up against the Highlanders, to be honest, they should have been able to win. Not taking anything away from the Highlanders in that game, just the Crusaders, they had a couple chances that they could have got the job done. Up against the Brumbies, I believe that they could have won that game. They made some poor decisions, though, near the end of the game, including that Quinton Strange situation with tapping that ball back into the dead ball area. Crusaders versus Reds, close game. Crusaders put in a bit of a fight back and then just blew it with the final moment. So I think that if any of those games they had received 4 points rather than 1 or 2, like, that would have been the big difference maker for them overall. And where's my fleshing at? And I agree, Super Rugby is costing New Zealand too much money, big holes in their pocket. There's Blues, Nate. And that's the thing, like, as soon as the South African sides left Super Rugby, I feel like that was a market that also kind of left. Like, there are not many South Africans at the moment, I believe anyway, that are still watching Super Rugby, or at least not to the same extent as they were when the South African sides were still involved. And Crusaders overbeat teams by tiny margins over the years too, says Hanoi. Bring back the NPC clubs and their fans. Not every North supports the Blues, belong to Auckland. And also Crusaders dominated New Zealand far too long, says Axel. And I think that's one of the reasons as well why I mentioned how if the Crusaders qualify as 8th and then go on to win the competition, that does hurt the overall, I guess. It's not the credibility, but it also it shows that the format is not right. If a side that has 4 wins out of 14 throughout a regular season can qualify for the playoffs. They're like South Africa, they leave it late, they win by 1 point. No one should speak French willingly. What's going to happen with the New Zealand Rugby Civil War? I haven't actually been following it, to be honest. Like, I probably should know what's going on, but I have no idea, to be honest, in terms of what's happening with New Zealand Rugby and whatnot. It's probably not good, though, I would assume. If Samoa can't field their own team, they need Australia and New Zealand to carry them and supply all their players, all the funds will go missing. And the Blues would choke in the quarterfinals versus the Crusaders, says Hanoi, and there as well. As a lifetime Highlanders fan, I'm just proud to say the Highlanders locked in a final spot before the Crusaders this season, says Defunk. And of course, one of the big reasons for that is, of course, because of that win over the Crusaders. And Blues would choke in the quarterfinals versus the Crusaders. It would be a very interesting one, that is for sure. We have got there, where will Samoans go and participate then? New Zealand is their own choice, says Ivan. And I'll say he's actually a good guy, but very moody. No, says Ruth. And go the Crusaders, says Stuart Moore. And of course, we won't be too far away from the second half of this contest getting underway, ladies and gentlemen. Both sides about to make their way back out on the field. Currently, in terms of the halftime break, we've had 12 and a half minutes, almost 13 minutes. So normally that is about where they do send them back out onto the field. Is Rob Benny a good guy? Does he deserve his tarnished record? Like, I don't think he deserves a record like he has. And I think that, to a certain extent, I know that this is going to sound weird to say, but I think he deserves a lot of credit, or a lot of praise anyway, because we're talking about a side that were losing 15 players. And they've got a record that the coach prior has just made as a formidable, renowned side that no one was going to be able to back up. Let's be honest. 15 players gone, majority of them being All Blacks. You're never going to have that same season. And even if Razor had stayed one more year, maybe the results would have been slightly different, but I still do think that the Crusaders would have had a few losses on their record for this season compared to what they had throughout past seasons as well. So it makes it a brave decision from Penny, definitely because he was losing games at the Tars as well. And we've seen how badly the Tars are doing this season. So you'd also argue it wasn't completely Rob Penny's fault when he was there. He's just taken on the jobs that not many other coaches want to take on because, of course, no one wants to be that side that struggles with a side that has had such an impressive record. No waste of time to give Papua New Guinea a team. It should have been an E3 Kiwi team or Perth, says Hanoi. And also we have got there Rob Benny calling the guy. Yeah, he did as well, which I think the funny thing is it seems like more people have become a fan of him since then than like more people not liking him, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like because Kiwis and Aussies are normally pretty potty-mouthed, I guess you could say. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Rob Penny speaks my language, literally. So, yeah, most people didn't mind him as much after that. Enjoy playing in Australia domestic comps and Moana and South Canterbury to the NPC, says Blues Nate. Although I did see South Canterbury had a Ranfurly Shield Challenge opportunity, but sadly couldn't get the funding to be able to actually take part in it, which is a big shame. So adding them to any NPC I don't think would work, because like that's where New Zealand Rugby have to say, you know what, we'll help you pay to get you to the NPC, seeing as you've done all the hard work of winning a competition. But they pretty much said, you're on your own. If you can pay for it, you can pay for it and you can play. If you can't, then too bad. It's a fair point, says Lexarmon. And I respect Moana Pacifica in the drawers, says Josh, but we are about to have the second half. Julian Savia has been on the field the whole time. I haven't mentioned that man's name once. See if we see him in the second half. The Crusaders kicking off this one from left to right. And it does go out on the full from the Crusaders, which is a big mistake to have straight off the bat. Okay, Sione Havili Talatui now given the option. Which one would he like to do? Fergus Burke. I'll be honest, if you're Saracens, no offence to Fergus Burke, right? But they signed him with the knowledge of him going to be a big superstar in the future. They're just going to have to wait a while till we get to the future where he starts playing his best rugby. Yeah, but I want to see a team in New Zealand, second NRL side. But not sure Wellington or Christchurch. Aussies only deserve 3 teams. The league-loving bogans, says Gareth. Now back into the pocket. Willie Hartvili puts it high, looking for that cross kick. Sent to the sky. It's a good contest. Pipisana Patafilo able to take a missed tackle from Crotty, finished off by McLeod. Back into the Crusaders starting lineup. No Hartvili in this contest. Them behind for Chefiaki. Now kicking it downfield and does get that one into touch nicely there for Fiaki. Moana Pasifika with the line out on the halfway line. Razor will go through what Rob Penny is going through at the Crusaders when it's time for international rugby, says Lexarmon. So when Argentina, Brazil joining Super Rugby. Well, that depends. Are they going to look for a replacement team for the Rebels, or are they going to just go with 11 sides in the competition? Of course, 12 sides makes it look a lot better, but maybe, if you have 11... Oh, I was going to say if you have 11, you could probably get 1 or 2 more games in, theoretically. You could play everyone from your respective country, plus a couple more... outside of playing everyone, of course. Like, I don't know what the new format would be with 11. Much easier doing math when there's 12 teams. So William Harvilli, just inside of his 22, will boot this one into touch. A bit of popularity needs another side. Make a good domestic rivalry, says Inouye. And Razor's a lucky coach. He's spoiled for choice. So many excellent, talented players in New Zealand. The way that the current standings are, ladies and gentlemen, Crusaders are inside of the top 8. But it all comes down to Fiji and Roa versus the Rebels tomorrow. That will be the big determining factor. Now running for Christian Leo Willie. Ball is still there for him. Hotham goes across to Dallas McLeod. Looked like he lost his footing in the process. Tackled by Julian Savia. Hotham across to Blackadder. Oh, big shot on Leo Willie there. Cross again, Quinton Strange. Be called as a tackle. Do have to release him. Cross to the right-hand side, Crotty with the loop around play. Hotham, I believe, almost knocked that one on. Yes, he did. And they will go back for the scrum. And we have got there, Razor could lose the Eden Park Test record or the Bledisloe, says Inouye. And yeah, he's in an interesting position because Joe Schmidt's almost in the same position as well. Like, both of those men are expected to turn their clubs or their teams around. And if they don't, then people are going to ask for them to be sacked, even into just like a really short stint. We're talking like, if Razor loses his first 2 or 3, people will already be saying, nah, get rid of him, find us another coach. And the question is, who else is there? that they could end up bringing in. Looks like Sakopi Kepu now going to be making his way off the field. They've just set a standing ovation for that man. He's had a long career. Now hanging up the boots for Moana Pasifika. Would Argentina want to pump money into the competition that will dump them as soon as they can get another Aussie franchise going? Probably not, to be honest. And I feel like they've got a good thing going at the moment in terms of their current Super Rugby Americas competition. Taking my son to ABs versus England in July. Give him the tickets for his B-Day. I wonder if Owen Farrell might go watch the Wars game, seeing the league background. It's a good question. 36 minutes left in this contest currently. Still 16 points in favour of the Crusaders. The second half started a little bit slower than the first. That bonus point is still in play. I back us Hurricanes on a firm deck versus the Brumbies away, then sloppy track versus the Reds. That team that usually beats you. Says Shane. Dave Rennie could come back. Says Joe Webby. But yeah, it's never easy as a new coach, is it? Because as soon as you lose 1 or 2 games, everyone calls for your head. And they want to get rid of you. Now, nice attacking run from Savia, close to the turnover for the Crusaders. Now Willie Harvey going to try this cross kick again. Ball bounces up nicely for Finia Nisi, who is back out onto the field. Is Farrell available? I don't believe so, but he might still travel with the squad. They sometimes do that, don't they? How some of those players who aren't available to play still kind of chill out and, I guess, take the free airfares, don't they? Be unfair to sack them because they're both just starting a new cycle. Exactly right, but people are brutal. That's going to be kicked in behind. Awkward bouncing one. Hotham takes it, and he scores the try for the Crusaders. Looked like it was going to be safe for Moana Pacifica to be able to defend, but Hotham rips it out of their hands. Scores his third try now of the season. Scott's not going to lose like Foster. Wash your mouth out, says Stuart Moore. I mean, you just never know, though, do you? Like, that's the reality of rugby. You can't predict everything 100% correct, and who knows, maybe there's going to be a couple hiccups along the way while Razor finds his feet in that All Blacks coaching box. That's great work there from Noah Hotham, though. What's the possibility of the Higuares coming back or a Japanese team? A good opportunity to expand the comp. I think out of those two, to be honest, I think Japanese side is more likely. Mainly because they will be able to, I guess, jump into that Japanese market. And I think that's where more money is than Argentina. No offence to the Argentines. Travel to New Zealand and leave the missus and kids behind in England. Get on there with some snot-nosed, hairy-legged New Zealand girls. Says Marco. And no Super Rugby if Phil War decides to pull Australian teams out and joins Japan leagues. Says Blues Nate. And I caught a ferry from Hokianga to Rawene once. Far north New Zealand, nice and rural. Says Annoy, but that kick has gone over. It's going to make the score now 33 points to 10 in favour of the Crusaders. So they have done as much as they can, theoretically. Like, they have got the bonus point currently secured. They are inside of the top 8 the way that it currently sits. But the game that will determine if they stay there, the Rebels versus Fiji and Droa. What do you make of the All Blacks touring South Africa in 2026? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, I like the fact that they're bringing back the old school tour kind of feel to it, although I don't know what they're going to do with Australia and Argentina. Like, I don't know whether those two sides are going to try and create their own kind of rivalry type tour situation, because I know that New Zealand versus South Africa will definitely draw a crowd. It's whether or not Australia and Argentina have something else on their cards. That's going to be accidental offside, I would think, against Ethan Blackadder. But first of all, Moana Pasifika have been able to take that ball back. Jonathan Tamatene going away to Julian Savi, a bit of a juggle with the ball. Then tackled by Fiaki. And that is a knock on there from Moana Pasifika. At least I thought it was. Looks like referee saying play on. Moving up to 30 metres out from the line now. Nice run from Tima Falau. That is one of his first runs that we have seen from him in this match. Around the side, big run from Loto and Nisi. Smashed backwards by Blackadder, as well as Hotham. But that wasn't Rawene. It was more up north. Says Annoy, and also Rebels' last game will be against the Hurricanes. Says Khan there. Also, that's insinuating that the Hurricanes will not be top of the table, I assume. Oh, ball is out. It's going to be shoulder to shoulder, so play on, says Angus Gardner. Across to the right-hand side, a little bit of a rough pass, and Nisi now, forward pass out wide. And they will go back for the scrum now in favour of the Crusaders again. Now there was electricity, but in one place I drove really slowly on a dirt road. And a small Māori kid appeared with a stick, staring at us very aggressively. It was kind of scary, says Annoy. I'd love to travel to South Africa to watch a Bok AB's game. That'll be the dream come true, says Marco. Barney's got the prediction of 54-24. Rebels not playing next year. That is true. So there is a gap in Super Rugby per se. The question is, are they going to remove another team and make it only a 10-team competition? Or are they going to add someone? Are they going to stay with 11? Are they going to add multiple teams? Perhaps we see the reincarnation of the Super 14. When was the last time we had the Super 14? I want to say like 2000 and early 2010s, maybe? Maybe even just a little bit before that. Right, they've got Asia Halo now onto the field. Ryan Crotty, he's scored 1 try. He's had 9 carries throughout this game. Only made 4 tackles, so hasn't had the busiest day at number 12. Saying that, though, Moana Pacifica haven't had the busiest day on attack. So it's probably ideal for Ryan Crotty in his return game again. Only in your family, says Axel. Bring back the Higuares, I say, from Argentina, says D's Nuts. A ball about to be fed in. And that is a big push. The ball that's come out the back door. Hotham goes away to the short side where we do see Macca Springer flying down the wing. Cutting on the inside. Moves to 15 metres out from the try line. But Norris is in there and he wins the penalty for Moana Pasifika. And even though they are down by 23 points currently, they have not given up in this contest, Moana. And Hamish looks like a last chance saloon for the Crusaders now. After the Brumbies and the Rebels to get victories to get us in the 8. Says Ed Smith. Yeah, I think that I don't want to jinx it, of course, but I do feel like the Brumbies have the safer victory. The Rebels, I think it's going to be a really hard game for them in Fiji, but the benefit that they've got is the fact that the Fijian draw did concede a lot of points last week, and that might have hurt their confidence a bit. They were left tryless, which hasn't happened too often throughout this season. Why doesn't New Zealand join the URC or any other Northern Hemisphere competition like South Africa? I think it's down to the time zones a little bit. The benefit of South Africa and the URC is they are based off pretty much the same time zone as Europe. So even though it's a long flight, you're still working on the same kind of time zone. Oh, sounds like there's going to be a change here. Again, for Moana Pasifika. I'm going to Alexandra to play Alexandra in rugby. And I got to go to Queenstown for Luma Lights. You're going to stream the State of Origin. Let's go Queensland. I'm hoping to. I am a little bit concerned, of course, about the copyright side of things for Rugby League. But I think it should be all right. We have done it most other years without any trouble whatsoever. 29 minutes left in this one. Tell you what, State of Origin is going to be good, though. I feel like last year there were some very tight games, but then at the same time it just seemed like it was always going to be going one way, if that makes sense. Damn man, I've lost $10. That hurts, says Axel. The best way to keep $10 is to not bet $10, and then you still have your $10. Crusaders won't have the horrible preseason next year like this year, says Ed Smith. Brumbies still have a chance to be at the top 1. They do indeed. All they need is a win in their game up against the Western Force, and then the Hurricanes and Blues will both have to lose their games. Rebels unable to renew your license. Sad for the Rebel staff, fans, and their dedication, or for their dedication over the years. Now, Hotham, they've got themselves another penalty advantage here, the Crusaders. So off the scrum set play, McLeod passes it into touch, and we will go back for another penalty. This time it is against 3 white. Collapsing at scrum time and angling, so not really a lot going for him in that one. Crusaders again are going to be kicking this one towards the corner with Fergus Burke. It is a decent strike, and they will position themselves about 7 metres out from the try line now. Liliafano has made his way onto the field for Tumafalau. Ready to throw this one in here. Cody Taylor, are you up for the Sevens tomorrow morning, Hemi? We are indeed. The first Sevens game that we are covering on the channel will be the matchup between New Zealand and Fiji. That is at 12:10 a.m. We are also covering South Africa versus Ireland, the game that is following that. And then at about 3:25 a.m., I believe it is, we are covering Samoa versus Kenya. So be sure to keep an eye out for those ones. Reyes to win again, the Maroons. Here's Anoi. The pocket, Christian Liliafano looking for the touchline. Doesn't have the most angle to be able to work with from pretty much the middle of the field. No Munsters. Says Blues, no. Or most appearances for Christian Liliafano. He's on 181. If his side make it through to the quarters, he will tie James Slipper and also Liam Messam. But if his team do not make their way through, he will not be able to tie them until next year anyway. Imagine you bet on Usyk to KO Fury and the ref stopping it happened. Says Hanoi. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The old, that's why I cannot imagine betting on any sort of boxing or combat sport, because even rugby to a certain extent, you are at the referee's, I guess, the referee's demise, aren't you? If they have a good game, then you might get your result that you're after, but there are a lot more chances that you're not going to get that result that you're after. Oh, a big run forward from Tamaiti Williams. They're only 10 metres out from the line now for the Crusaders, slinging it away to Ethan Blackadder. Offloads it up to Fergus Burke, back across to McLeod. Trying to bust his way through Tumafalau, Tumafasi, Fatu Bra, Polynesia Wild, says Ivan. That's going to be another penalty advantage, this time against Sione Havili Talatui. Burke with the quick hands to Dallas McLeod. And he is in for the try again here. The Crusaders looking to put 50 on Moana Pasifika. But at the end of the day, they only need the bonus point. Are you streaming Reds Waratahs? We are not, no. Only because nothing can change on the table from that game. The Waratahs cannot get into the quarterfinals. And also with where they are sitting at the moment, as you can see, that's the wrong one. As you can see, they can't catch anyone. The Reds can't go up. They can't go down. So, I'm still going to be watching that game, probably while editing one of these Sevens videos. But, yeah, there's not much leapfrogging that can happen for that contest. You reckon Cortez can make the ABs? I believe so. I think that he's done enough this year, Cortez Ratama, to be probably first choice for the ABs. You might say Piranara, because of that experience, might get the nod a little bit ahead, but I still think that Cortez Ratama is certainly going to be in there somewhere, or at least he should be, off the season that he's had. Now 25 minutes still left. Here's Burke lining up this kick again. Obrodam. Says Axel Reds are a side, or other side, who could surprise. Says Ed. Yeah, that's the thing. They are more than likely going to have away games all throughout the playoffs, whether that's the quarters, the semis, or the final, unless, of course, something drastic happens in terms of who the other sides are that knock each other out. Oh, that's not the best strike from Fergus Burke again. It's going to make the score 38 points to 10. Still in favour of the home side, and Moana Pasifika, I mentioned about it, they either can keep a game very close, or it just goes very, very one-sided. And unfortunately, that's what we've got here. Brumbies 1, Hurricanes 2, Blues 3, Reds 4, Chiefs 5. 5 Landers. Okay, so that can't happen. The Reds can only be 5th. So they can't actually go ahead of the Chiefs no matter what happens in these games. The draw, they can actually leapfrog, like you've mentioned there. They can get themselves up a little bit further if they get themselves one moment, the bonus point win over the Rebels, that would actually put them into 7th rather than 8th. But if they just get the win, then they will remain in 8th. But that would confirm their spot in the top 8. But yeah, there's no way for the Crusaders and the Drua to be inside of the top 8 together. And for and against, there's Blues Nate. And clearly not in Blues SO, because Mary Fowler stopping him from joining. Says, stay hungry. But now line out throw here for Moana Pasifika. Opportunity to go for this line out throw. It's going to be Tomasi Macha. Gets the ball in well, but it's stolen by Quinton Strange. Their line out has looked very strong here throughout this game. For the Crusaders, looks like Moody is off the field. They've done all that they can, and this game is clearly injured. He was the last I heard, but I'm not sure about now, whether or not he's close to coming back. But I did hear that he was going to be away for Origin. Quinton Strange, well watched there. Chiefs are 4th, playing the Reds in the quarterfinals. Says Novmum. Although they can still move as well, can't they? The Chiefs, or not by enough? No, not quite. Can't quite go ahead. So yeah, you are correct. It's going to be Chiefs Reds at FMG. Why did see Khaleesi shave his head? He probably, I'm sure there would have been some reason behind it. It might have just been that he decided he wanted to change. Are you covering Origin? I'm hoping to. Hopefully we are able to do so without any copyright problems. Now only a few metres out for the line here. Moana Pacifica kicking high was Christian Leliofano. Gets it into touch. And at the moment for Moana Pacifica, they just trapped inside of their own half. Every once in a while they get down the other end of the field, and then the Crusaders throw one big counter-attack in or win a penalty. That is where they get themselves trapped. I watched it a few weeks ago. Once we're Warriors, the mum was cute. Says Hanoi. Havili's knee is not looking the best at the moment. Moana Pacifica have had a good season. Yeah, I think that they've done a lot better than a lot of people anticipated. Right, looks like Tamaiti Williams and Cody Taylor now. Both going to be making their way from the field. Crusaders taking the 8th spot, no doubt about that. Says Mitchie, I mean, they will have it at the end of this game, but the question is whether or not the Drua can get themselves the win over the Rebels, because if they don't, then the Crusaders will make it in. Oh, knocked on from Dallas McLeod. Tim Ryan is going to be a Wallaby. Says Mr. Bravestone, that's going to be another knock on there if the Rebels beat the Drua. Will they escape Fiji alive? Says Anoya. I mean, they'd have to leave pretty quick, I would think. Up the wah, says Dees. Knock on here from Dallas McLeod. It was just a little bit behind him. Like Rob Penny was having a half-by chuckle inside of the coaching box from that last one. And Rebel's going to win against the Drua, says Mitchie. And also Naslim Shady Fowler says stay hunky in there as well. But 70% territory throughout this game in favour of the Crusaders. Entries to opposition 22. We're seeing 9 for the Crusaders compared to the 3 of Moana Pasifika. All Blacks props looking strong. De Bruyne, Numia, Lomax, Noel, Tamaiti, and Big Offer as the old boy. Yeah, I don't think too many people would complain with those selections. And Drua can go sleep, and Cleary could play for Papua New Guinea team on $2 million a year. Says Hanoi, and Chiefs of the Hurricanes better win Super Rugby this year, have 3K on it. Says Blues Nate. That's going to be kicked into touch. How much do you make back, Nate, if either of them win it? Do you get a decent amount, hopefully? Crusaders will need to prepare for next year, most likely scenario. Says Ed, yeah, it could come down to the fact that they just haven't done enough throughout some of those big crucial games in the middle patch of the season. Plus, it took them a little while before they were able to break their drought of no wins for the early stages of the comp. Now going to the left-hand side, Crusaders, enjoy your last game. says Samuela. Hello. Going across to Fipuluai. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. A big run from Alamana Mutunga. Hello. Gets the ball back up to Christian Liliofano. And I know I will win. It is the drawer, says below. And also, how good is the reps? The Reds prop explodes an All Black, says Hanoi. You're talking Alex Hodgman, I assume, there. Or are you talking Jeffrey Tormunga Allen, maybe? Ex-Canes player as well, wasn't he? Back in the day. I never thought the Blues would be up there. No pressure on Vern Cotta and Paul Tito. Doing a fantastic job, says Blues Nate. Crusaders back in possession. Going to put the ball in behind. They've been bouncing awkwardly all throughout today. Good tackle made on Halo. Back to his feet there. They end up losing the ball with the counter-attacking ruck from Tane Robinson. Only 5 out from their own line at the moment. Moana Pasifika, they've still got 18 minutes. Try and get themselves another try. I did say at the start that I felt like they would get 1 or 2 tries, most likely 2. So his domination of Super Rugby is over. About time. Says Axel, that's Drew's final win. Also RP on the quarters. Says stay hunky. It's going to be a tough one for the draw. We do know that throughout their whole season, they have not actually won a game away from home. So if they are through to the quarters, they'll be heading to either Eden Park, Sky Stadium, or GIO Stadium. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty tricky one, I would think, for the Fijian draw. Hodgman was in the news today as dual All Black Wallaby, says Hanoi. The Crusaders, they will have themselves the line-out throw here. Looks like Cullen Grace going to be making his way from the field. 8 carries today, 100% tackle completion with 6 tackles made. Made 18 metres as well. Decent enough game from him. Probably not as big of a game as he's had in some of his others. So after this win, it is just the draw that can upset the Crusaders' quarterfinal chances. Are the Force still in the running? Says Rafflesia. Believe it or not, the Force are still in the running. If the Force win their game with a bonus point, I believe it would still be the Crusaders due to points differential. But yeah, in fact, I think the Crusaders winning this game with a bonus point would shut the Force down. I've got the table here. And yeah, I believe that with the points differential... Oh no, sorry. The Force would go through if they also get themselves a bonus point in the game up against the Brumbies, because it is based off how many wins you've had first and then your points differential. Big shot on George Bell, forcing him backwards. And shout out Tana Mean Coach. Better man, All Blacks captain. First probably one, I once played you, but I got smoked by the big man, says Shane. And sure, everything has its turn, says Samuela. Moana Pacifica in possession. Hello again will go across. For Moana Pacifica, it's just about finding that gap in the Crusaders' backline. I mean, the Crusaders have defended well throughout this game, but I also do think that Moana Pacifica have been a little bit hesitant to go for those gaps just around that 12 and 13 channel. We've hardly seen Savia run the ball. That looked too high from Dallas McLeod. 35 metres out from their line. Twiggy gives us a lazy hundy. Wow, you've got plenty of dosh me, bro, says Marco. And also, is there a big crowd? It's a sellout, I believe. Actually, no, there's a few seats that are empty at the moment. Of course, this could be the last game for the Crusaders. At least it will be their last home game of the competition if they do make it through to the quarterfinals. Ball is still there again. Hello, they've lost a little bit more ground for Moana Pasifika. Still 15 minutes remaining on the clock. William Havili tackled by Quinton Strange. Could have bought the Rebels and Force together. A few NPC teams to make a new comp, says Anoi. Hello. Cross again to Christian Leleafano. went for the risky offload to Alamana Matunga, and it has worked out. Henry Taiafu gets it out wide to Finney Anesi, who's got a bit of space to work with, trying to bust down the outside. He's almost wrestled into touch. In fact, he was just out. Hello, says PSG. Welcome in. The Crusaders do manage to get the 8th spot. You'd have to think that whoever finishes first might be just a tad nervous, considering the Crusaders likely to have a full-strength side. Says Mega World. And that's the thing, like, Crusaders and playoff rugby, I've said it from the get-go. Now, this could all be, I guess, irrelevant if the Fijian draw beat the Rebels tomorrow, but I still don't think after the season that the Crusaders have had, you still want to play them in the quarterfinals. I feel like they're just one of those sides that those are the type of games that normally the Crusaders are able to step up in because, like, don't get me wrong, 38 points to 10 over Moana Pasifika here is impressive, but I still think that they've had a lot of, like, things that they could have done better throughout this game. Hoping Highlanders to play the Brumbies. I think we could win that, says PSG. Crusaders fans have stayed loyal despite a bad season. Well, I mean, the Crusaders fans are now learning what it's like to be a supporter of any other Super Rugby side. Because for so long, the Crusaders were top of the bunch. And now they're in that situation of, you know, there's a chance they may not even make the top 8. And so many other great sides have experienced that. Damn right wingers both are fast as heck too. Says Mark Owen Rebels need to take Susie the waitress to prepare Fiji's meals. We had a lot of yawns on the stream. Later on tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in about 3 and a bit hours' time, we are going to be covering the game taking place between Fiji and New Zealand in the 7th, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. That's going to be thrown in nicely by George Bell. Now at the back, Tom Christie. The Crusaders will lose, and the top 8 challenges, says Daniel Cox. So I assume you're saying that the draw will win, Daniel, or you're saying that the Crusaders will lose the quarterfinal? Crusaders fans know how I feel as a Landers fan, says PSG. Now again, Moana Pasifika, ball on the halfway line. For the offload, another knock on, and it's back on the side of the Crusaders. Ethan Blackadder finds the offload to Strange. If the Crusaders win Super Rugby this year, it's going to be worthy of a documentary voiced by 2 Cents and Tony. Says Flesham. Well, that's the thing. There's a chance that if the Crusaders win it this year, they would have knocked out the Blues in the quarters. With how it currently sits now, that's still to be confirmed. I mean, the Crusaders to be in the top 8 is still to be confirmed, but it does look like they're going to be playing another New Zealand side. Moana has disappointed me tonight. They are better than this, says Axel. And Crusaders will lose the semi. Oh, so you're saying they'll make it to the semi, though? So you're saying they'll knock out either the Hurricanes, Blues, or Brumbies in the quarters, and then from there go on and lose to someone else in that one. Who's the likely man of the match? I would say Ethan Blackadder's looked very good throughout this game, so I'd probably give it to him. Just looking through it. I don't know whether or not anyone else can really have it. I think it's got to be Blackadder for what he's been able to do throughout this contest. They're just having a drinks break at the moment, both sides. They're just talking about Scott Robinson's squad for the All Blacks. I'm just going to have a quick look. All Blacks squad 2024 announcement. Because when is the squad selection for the All Blacks? I know that it's normally, is it after or before the semi-finals? I think it's after the semi-finals that we do normally see the All Blacks selected. So that is only in 2 weeks' time that we will get to see who is making their way through. Do you think the Crusaders, or sorry, the Highlanders could play the Brumbies? If so, do you think they could win? It's going to be a tough game because it is more than likely going to be at GIO Stadium in Canberra. I think the last time that the Brumbies played the Highlanders, it was actually the Brumbies who were victorious. It was after the semi-finals last year. I thought it was, yeah. Holds the longest time between Super Rugby tries. Owen Franks has had 5,096 days. But he actually scored this season, I believe. Owen Franks, if I'm correct. 2 weeks after Super Rugby ABs. Says King and bring back Fozzie from South Africa. Says Gareth. Hell yes, same as the Rebels. Should have people filming the season from hell for both teams. Just make a doco either way. As after the semi-finals last year, says the Black Samoan. So I assume that it is going to be the same this year. Nice little chip in behind. Beautifully taken by Macca Springer. Shows his pace and scores the try. I think that's the assist for Johnny McNichol in the end, who went for their little chip in behind. But the Crusaders have got themselves their about 7th try in this contest. Crusaders were losing the quarters is what I meant to say, says Daniel Cox. They had the penalty advantage there for the Crusaders. And then kicked him behind from Johnny McNichol. Great pace from Macca Springer shown. And they score the try again, the Crusaders. Sideline commentator saying, where has this been all season for the Crusaders is what the crowd is asking. But I feel like it's taken a while for the Crusaders to actually find some sort of momentum. Did you see what happened with the Rebels? I did. It's a very unfortunate one, definitely because this is going to be their best ever finish in terms of ranking throughout a Super Rugby competition. What Crusaders spread? Says family over everything. Their spread. What do you mean by their spread? Like as in like the plus and minus of the odds? I know that that's known as a spread, isn't it? Oh, Burke hits the post. That's going to keep the score at 43 points to 10. A little bit disappointed with that Fergus Burke, as he would be. He hasn't had the best day off the kicking tee. Yeah, the odds says family over everything. I mean, at the moment, the Crusaders, in terms of the odds, you can't actually back them. Moana Pasifika are $101 underdogs, but the line at the moment is minus 36.5. And Crusaders to win by more than 36.5 is $2. Crusaders to win by 36.5 or less is $1.72. Hopefully that makes sense. They currently lead by 33, so it's more of a question, are they going to score themselves another try for that one? 43 to 10 though, going to need a decent goal kicker next year. Says Ed Smith, just a retirement team of oldies. And will the Crusaders win the last 8 place? It's all down to the draw versus Rebels game. Moana should be cancelled. They have no home. Says annoyed, but should they possibly get more games in the Pacific Islands? I believe so. I feel like the Fijian draw, they have got their home games. Moana Pasifika, we saw one game take place in Tonga. I don't understand why they can't do more of their home games there as well, because Mount Smart Stadium doesn't attract the crowd anyway. Like, you get a few to the games, but that is actually normally down to who they are playing. That is a 4 pass out wide, unfortunately, for Nigel Awong. I'm going to hide it in my corner with my smoked rabbit. Says Axel. How was Johnny McNichol's performance today? Excuse my spelling. He's had an all-right game. Like, he's had that try assist. That was one of the only times that we've really actually seen him, to be honest. Like, I'll get his stats up for this game. I don't think they'll be sensational, but, like, he hasn't had to do much because we've hardly seen the opposition on attack. Like, Johnny McNichol, for this game, he's had 1 metre carried from 2 carries. He's beaten 1 defender. And in terms of tackles, he's made 2 tackles. He's missed 3. So he's tackling at a 40% rate, but he hasn't really had to have a good game because of the Crusaders just having more possession and more territory. No, Fozzie can piss right off with Sam Cane. Isn't back. New Zealand fans want blood. Oops, so the Rebels spoil the draws party, says Sahil. And as well. Now 10 minutes remaining. Julian Savia. Once again, we only mentioned him once when he made a tackle. That is about all that he has touched the ball. All right, we got a scrum reset. We haven't actually seen too many of those throughout this game. Moana's error rate is cooked. Yeah, it's been pretty poor in terms of the amount that they've dropped the ball, as well as the amount of penalties that they have given away throughout this game. Evening, brother. How you doing? All good on my side. Loads of rugby this weekend, says BTV. There certainly is. We've got Super Rugby tomorrow. We've then got the URC, the 2 South African derbies that we are going to be covering on the channel. We've got the sevens all throughout the weekend, including one game that has taken place in 3.5 hours. We will be covering that one on the channel. Thought Johnny McNichol played for the Chiefs, but that was another blonde outside back with the surname McNichol. Says Freshman. That is going to be now the penalty going the way of the Crusaders again. Going to hit there with Owen Franks, the youngster on debut. Not going to be a very fun time. They'll eventually treat it as a family club. If you too much politics. Hey, Israel, I'll send you that Cam Royguard video and some footage of me and my son doing our rugby training. You'll love it, mate, says Marco. It does sound good. I assume you still got me on Facebook, unless you unfriended me, which I don't think you would have, but I hope not. Is URC shown free in South Africa for VPN purposes? No, I don't believe so. I know that in Ireland they've got a few free games. I think it's on ITV, possibly. I might be wrong there, but on the URC website they have like a section for where to watch. And that'll help you out in terms of some games. Now, I don't think the South African derbies are being shown on Irish TV, though, as the only sad thing. As the Highlanders game, Canes and Arvo game, expected it to be tonight. It's a 4:35 p.m. game that is taking place. If the Crusaders play the Blues in the quarters, the Blues have a strong lineup this 2024. The Crusaders won't have a chance because the Blues have a great defence and attack structure. Yeah, although the Crusaders bet them last week, and yes, you could argue a couple of the players were missing for the Blues, but at the same time, that is a game that people thought that they had won before they had won it. When you're grown as on the line, what do 8 level up Crusaders, says Jermaine, but that is going to be this time a penalty to Moana Pasifika. Haven't had a huge amount of those in their favour throughout this matchup. So Sione Havili Talatui just having a bit of a chat there with the referee, asking them what they want to do here. And the decision is they will kick this one towards the touchline. Now, Moana, they just want some form of points in this second half. Hi, Hamish. You have a busy weekend ahead. I'm going to watch some MotoGP as well, says Bruce. And the Crusaders are cooked, says Daniel Cox. Isn't it weird? Because, people always say, someone's cooking, and that means good. But then if you're cooked, it means bad. So as long as you're halfway through the process of cooking something, you're fine. But as soon as it's cooked, it means that it's turned bad. Fun fact. In terms of the hip lingo that the youngsters are using these days. Now, nice pass. Oh, knocked on by Julian. Xavier dropping the ball. Moana Pacifica can still win this game, so let's not write them off. Said Lexar Mons. My apologies, VDB. I thought you had come already. How's that coming along, bro? Says Marco. Hey, Mish, no, I still have you on Messenger. I'll send some stuff through shortly. Says Marco. Does sound good. Well, yeah, Xavier. It was going to be a good attacking run. He just wasn't able to hang on to it in that case. And he's frustrated about it, Xavier. I don't think they could have put it any more into his chest for him to be able to catch that ball, but he is frustrated about it. Yeah, I was really looking forward to the day we in New Zealand. Our Asian is just so useless, says BDV. 5 minutes left now. Another scrum. Currently the live ladder. The Crusaders are in the top 8. The Drua, their game is tomorrow. 2:05 p.m. And we are going to be covering that one on the channel alongside the 2 New Zealand derbies that are happening afterwards, ladies and gents. So be sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. Crusaders have put themselves in a position where the Drua need at least a win. They cannot afford to draw that game, or they will miss out. I just mentioned how the Rebels have not been granted a license to be able to play in Super Rugby next year. It's going to be curious to see what happens next year in Super Rugby, whether or not the Rebels, are we going to see a different layout, a different Australian side, different team from another country making their way in? Are we going to see another team lose their spot? Is bro Leroy being selected for New Zealand? Do you know he is in their squad? I don't know whether or not he's going to be selected in the lineup up against Fiji. I assume he would be. But yeah, he is in the travelling squad in Madrid at the moment. Draw always win their home game, says Sahil. I think the only team to have beaten the draw in a home game was actually the Blues, I believe. That is the only side, and that is the side that the draw would be playing in the quarters if they managed to beat the Rebels. Draw could take some Rebels players, says Sahil. Hamish, you on Facebook, says Birdie V. I am indeed. We made a Kiwi Lads Facebook ages ago, but I haven't actually posted anything on it at this point. I have to say to somehow make it in. I can't be asked for Super Rugby anymore, says Josh. Now Moana Pacifica, they've won themselves another penalty. There's a repetition happening in this game, which is pretty much the gist of a team gives away a penalty, the opposition kick it for the corner, nothing comes of it. There's another penalty, they kick it for the corner, nothing comes of it. This one, hopefully this time, Moana Pacifica from 15 metres out can make something come of this line-out opportunity. The ball is at the back there for them. 20 metres out from the try line. Hurricanes beat the draw this year in Fiji, says John. That is also true. Sorry, it was last season that the Blues were the only team to pull off the victory. Ooh, that was close to a knock-on there for Halo. Was the Canes this year, Blues last year. Hurricanes beat them once in Server. Was a tough game though, says Sahil. And yeah, I mean, we saw the Reds take them the golden point as well in Fiji, which I don't think many people anticipated, to be honest. Now, going to move forward, remember me, mate, says Nick in there as well. It's been a good few months, Nick. If you are the Nick Reed that I am thinking of, which I think you are, because you've said remember me, but yeah, it's been a while. I'm back. What have I missed? I'm now procrastinating for a bit, for a quick brain break. Well, the Crusaders have got themselves up into the quarterfinals at this stage. Fiji and draw can change that. Same with the Western Force. So, of course, 2 games tomorrow could be very crucial. And yep, says Nick in there as well. So, yeah, I hope you have been keeping it well. Hello goes across now on the outside to Julian Savia. Havili, one more. Oh, it's another handling error. Highlanders this weekend, says Nick Reed. Yep, they are going to be playing up against the Hurricanes. That is the game at 4:35 p.m. tomorrow. We are going to be covering that one on the channel as well. Found the Kiwi Lads Facebook page, says Birdie V. And Kiwi, says Jacob. Welcome in, mate. You are doing very well indeed. Drua could host all Super Rugby games in Fiji, says Blues Nate. And that's why I feel slightly bad for Moana Pacifica, because they've obviously shown that they can play games in the Pacific Islands. But, like, Tonga and Samoa don't get that opportunity for Moana Pacifica, even though I feel like that would be a great place to have them play their games in this competition. Are there many homeless in the South Island? There's probably a few. Like, the town that I'm in, I don't think we really see too many, but in, like, the cities, you'd probably see a few more. Up the Canes tomorrow, says JSP. And I'll find the Kiwi Lads Facebook page as well. It shouldn't be too difficult to find. It's very inactive, though, I should mention. Alright, so around how's it going? Let's go Fiji. Let's go until you see a hurricane, of course. Says Shane, this looks like it's going to be the turnover here for the Crusaders at line-out time. Once again, the repetition continues of a team kicking it for touch, going for their line-out, and then eventually nothing coming of it. But 43 points to 10 at the moment. The Kiwi Lads with the red coloured, it is, yeah, that was the old logo back in the day. Stay hydrated, says JSP. I wonder why you were so quiet, Ruth, says Moa Hunters. And how many minutes left? Less than 1. At the moment, 25 seconds remaining. Now, going off to the right-hand side, Savia behind to Liliafano. Hello. Looks like he's going to the right here. One last try for Moana Pacifica would be very beneficial for them. Of course, this will be their last game of Super Rugby. They want to end it on the high. There is the siren sounding for the last time in Moana Pacifica's 2024. Can they walk away with one last try? So please, for the Crusaders, Although it's not over yet. Of course, if the Fijian draw win their game up against the Rebels, that's going to be the penalty advantage for the Crusaders. It looks like the ball is actually straight out the back door. Across the Fiaki, puts the chip in behind, waiting for the bounce of the ball, well claimed. They'll go back for the penalty. Congratulations to the Crusaders, says JSP. Moana Pasifika can still win this game with the remaining time, guys. Let's not write them off. Must admit the Canes were lucky to beat the Chiefs in Hamilton. They only won because of the stupid ref. Says Daniel Cox, and cheers to the commentary, Hamish. Says at JSP, of course, we are going to be back in around 3 hours' time. That is going to be for the next contest of the sevens that we are covering. That is going to be between New Zealand and Fiji. But New Zealand, Crusaders that is, kick it into touch. And they are, for now, in the quarterfinals. They have to wait to find out what happens, though, in the next contest taking place between the Drua and the Rebels. We are going to be covering that one tomorrow, ladies and gents. So if you are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Why Moana Pacifica not get too many wins? Because Tonga and Samoa have different skills, says Tamani, although they still got more wins than the Waratahs throughout the season. I seen that Cam Royguard video, but not the training stuff. I have heaps all over my phone. Maybe we can watch on my Facebook story part thing. You find them, brother, says Marco, so we'll have to have a look. And I hope I didn't jinx our 17 whoops, says Shane there. So yeah, first game taking place at 12:10 a.m. New Zealand time. And that is going to be between Fiji and New Zealand. We will also have a preview of that game coming out in about an hour's time, somewhere around there. Maybe even 30 minutes, so be sure to keep an eye for that one as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.